Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. My mom leaned against me as she slept, her voice tinged with displeasure. Emily, are you really planning to register your marriage with Jason tomorrow? I just don't understand how you and your dad think so highly of him. I, for one, don't like him. I always get the feeling there's something going on between him and that Zoe girl. I was stunned for a long time. It wasn't until my mom held my hand that I realized I had been reborn. She noticed I was silent and grumbled. You're so blinded by happiness, you can't even think straight. Tears welled up in her eyes. In my previous life, she used to constantly complain about Jason, saying he wasn't good for me. I was always so irritated that I barely talked to her. Even after she got sick, I hardly ever went to the hospital to see her. I only saw her one last time before she passed away. Even then she said to me, "Silly girl. Jason is smart and he's willing to learn and work hard, but he's not a good man." She was already very sick at the time, so I didn't argue. I just quietly replied, "Mom, I know." Then she smiled and said, "Now I can rest easy." That night, she passed away peacefully, still wearing a smile on her face. But the final medical report showed she had died of poisoning. I took the report to the doctor, and he told me she had likely been taking chronic poison over a long period, at least 5 years. I sat up, my face soaked with tears, and looked at my mom. "Mom, I'll listen to you. I won't marry Jason." Then, remembering the doctor's words, my eyes widened in shock. The year my mom died was exactly 5 years after I had gotten married. That meant Jason had started poisoning her right after we got married. And when my dad died, the doctor had also said it was poisoning. But back then, things were so busy at the company that we didn't think much of it. All we cared about was how to help Jason take over the business. Mom wiped my tears with a handkerchief. "Silly girl, you're only 19. We'll move to the city with your dad soon. You think you won't find a good man there?" Yes. My dad had been doing well in the South, and was just waiting for me to marry Jason, so we could all move to the city together. Jason was a quiet, well-mannered elementary school teacher. Exactly the kind of guy my dad liked. My dad had only finished elementary school and got rich thanks to the economic reforms. So he had a deep respect for educated people. That's why when the company grew, he handed everything over to Jason, his great son-in-law, while I, his own daughter, was left to stay home. I smiled and said, "I'll do whatever you say, Mom." Mom was thrilled to hear I wouldn't marry Jason. Then she said, "Sleep in a bit more. I'll get up and make breakfast. I'll kill the old hen too. We'll have chicken soup for lunch. Since we're heading to the city soon anyway, we might as well cook up all the hens and roosters before we go." I smiled happily. "Okay, I'll get up now and help catch the hen." "All right, let's catch it together," she said, already dressed as she spoke. I got dressed and climbed out of bed to help her. Mom was busy slaughtering the chicken, and it felt just like New Year's. We had just finished breakfast when Jason showed up. He was wearing a white t-shirt, black pants and black leather shoes, the pair I had asked my dad to bring from the South. He looked cheerful and sunny. In my past life, I would have run up to him and thrown myself into his arms. But now I just smiled faintly when I saw him. "What brings you here?" I asked calmly. Jason looked a little surprised. "We agreed to register our marriage in the city today, remember?" I scratched my head and pretended to forget. Was that today? Jason's voice carried a hint of frustration. "How could you forget something so important? I'm seriously upset." I stayed calm and slowly walked toward him. "Jason, if you're mad, does that mean you're not going to marry me anymore?" Jason couldn't keep up the act any longer. He glared at me fiercely. "That's right. If I'm mad, I won't marry you." I panicked and ran to my mom crying, "Mom, Jason's mad. He doesn't want to marry me anymore." Mom held me and looked at Jason, then back at me, her face full of confusion. "What's gotten into you today, sweetie? You're acting so strange. If he won't marry you, then so be it. I'll help you find someone better." Jason got anxious and rushed over to explain. "Auntie, I was just joking with Emily. She's the one I love most. Everyone in town knows it. The whole village knows we're supposed to register our marriage today." Mom glanced at him sideways. Didn't you see Emily's not happy today? Let's wait a few days. You go on home. I'll talk to her. Even though Mom was from the countryside and barely literate, she was wise and clear-headed. She was steady in a crisis and always had a plan. She even had Dad completely wrapped around her finger. Even after becoming a successful businessman, my dad never remarried after Mom passed. Jason looked dejected, a flash of resentment in his eyes. All right, Auntie, please talk to Emily. I'll come back to see her this evening. Go on now. As soon as Jason left, Mom looked at me with concern. Emily, is it because of me that you're acting this way? Are you mad at me or something? I answered calmly. No, Zoe is pregnant. It's Jason's baby. Your daughter isn't dumb enough to marry a man who doesn't love her. Hearing that, Mom flew into a rage. That bastard. I just thought he wasn't being faithful, but I didn't expect they'd already been fooling around for who knows how long. I'm calling your father right now. He needs to come back and see this perfect son-in-law of his with his own eyes. I quickly grabbed her hand. Mom, you have to listen to me on this. Just because Zoe's pregnant doesn't prove the baby is Jason's. If we don't catch them red-handed, Dad won't believe it. He'll just think you're slandering Jason. Mom paused, then nodded. You're right. Your dad's good at everything except picking a son-in-law. We'll make sure he sees the truth for himself. I nodded. Okay. According to my memories from my past life, I waited outside the hospital and really did catch Jason with Zoe. She was clinging to his arm, looking anxious. Jason, I think I might be pregnant. Jason comforted her gently. Don't worry. If you're pregnant, then we'll have the baby. Zoe's voice cracked with a mix of panic and tears. But I'm still a virgin. If people in the village find out, they'll laugh me to death. Jason's eyes darkened for a second, then he smiled. We're moving to the city soon. You can have the baby there. Who's going to know, sweetheart? In my past life, Zoe actually moved to the city with us. Jason used our family's money to keep her hidden and taken care of. The Johnson family really was played like fools. Zoe leaned on his shoulder like a delicate flower. I'll listen to you, Jason. I followed them the whole time until their appointment ended, and then left. Sure enough, she was already 2 months pregnant. I made it home before they did and told Mom everything. She was afraid I'd do something rash and tried to console me. Let's leave for the south tomorrow. Don't wait for your father. I smiled. Mom, I stopped loving Jason a long time ago. Let me settle things with them first. After that, we'll go to the city. They treated me like garbage. I'm not letting them off that easy. Mom nodded in agreement. All right, Emily. However you want to get back at them, I'll support you. I smiled with relief. If I'd listened to Mom in my past life, I wouldn't have died such a tragic death. Thanks, Mom. It wasn't evening yet when Jason showed up at our house again, holding a hair clip in his hand. Emily, let me put this on you. I stepped aside angrily. Have you heard the rumors going around? Jason straightened up. What rumors? I've been busy at home all day. I haven't heard a thing. I pretended to be upset. All the women in the village are saying Zoe is pregnant with your child. Some even said they saw you with her at the hospital this morning. Jason panicked as soon as he heard that. He immediately raised his hand and swore. I swear there's nothing between me and Zoe. We're clean. If there's anything going on between us, I widened my eyes, waiting for him to continue. You'll what? Jason was cornered and gritted his teeth. Then he said, I'll stay in this village for the rest of my life. I'll never make it to the city. I'll live in poverty forever. I clapped my hands with a smile. Good. Swears have always worked on you. I believe you. Jason looked frustrated and turned his face away, waiting for me to comfort him. But I gave him the cold shoulder and said firmly, Go home. I said, I believe you. He turned back instantly, looking at me in disbelief. That's it. In the past, I would have apologized first, then given him gifts to make him happy. I smiled. Believing you is already a big deal. What do you want me to wait until Zoe gives birth, and we do a DNA test to prove it's yours? Jason forced out an awkward smile. No need. We're just registering. That's all. I kept smiling. Let's wait a few more days. Once the rumors die down, we'll register. My dad's coming back next month anyway, and we'll be heading to the city together. Jason saw that I wasn't budging, so he had no choice but to agree. The next day, just as I stepped out of the house, Aunt Linda stopped me. Emily, don't be silly. Take your time and really get to know Mr. Jason before you register. Yesterday, I saw Zoe acting really close to him, just like the rumors say. Zoe really is pregnant with Mr. Jason's baby. I smiled and shook my head. Aunt Linda, you must have seen it wrong. Jason and I are about to register our marriage. As for the baby in Zoe's belly, I paused for effect. Wait, are you saying Zoe is pregnant? But she's a proper young lady. How could she be pregnant? Maybe you misheard. Aunt Linda held my hand earnestly and warned, Emily, please don't lose your head. There's no rush to register. Take your time. Just then, Zoe came walking toward us with a bright smile. Emily, Aunt Linda. I looked at her belly and said casually, Zoe, you seem to have put on some weight lately. Your face and stomach both look fuller. Startled, Zoe immediately sucked in her stomach. I've always been a little chubby. Summer clothes just make it more obvious. Aunt Linda chimed in helpfully. You know, Zoe's stomach really looks like a woman's after having a baby. Not like yours, Emily. Yours is still flat. See? Totally different. I reached out to touch Zoe's belly, but she quickly stepped back. I've got something to do. I should get going. She turned and rushed off. Aunt Linda leaned in and continued nagging. I've had 3 kids, Emily. I'm telling you, Zoe's definitely pregnant. At least 2 months along. She was spot on. Just yesterday, the doctor said it was a little over 2 months. I nodded. I believed Aunt Linda. But just as I reached the east end of the village, I overheard people gossiping that I had a secret lover, and that's why I wasn't registering with Jason. Some even said I was the one who was pregnant, and too ashamed to marry him. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at the group of women whispering behind my back. Among them were Zoe's mom and her sister-in-law. So, it's you all going around saying I've got some secret man and that I'm pregnant? Do you have any proof? I asked. Zoe's mom straightened up, responding self-righteously. Well, everyone's talking about it, so it must be true. I stepped forward without hesitation. Then if I start a rumor that your eldest son was fathered by that old bachelor on the east side of the village, and that Zoe was born from you and the one at the foot of Zhuang Creek, would that make it true too? Zoe's mom burst out, lunging toward me. You filthy liar. I'll tear that mouth of yours apart. What are you trying to do to my daughter? My mom quickly stepped in front of me, trying to shield me, but I gently pushed her aside. It's fine, Mom. We're just joking around. Zoe snapped. Who's joking with you? You're just a little brat running your mouth like that. But I wasn't a little brat. I had lived 2 lifetimes already. At that moment, Widow Lee walked over laughing. Haha, look at how vivid all these rumors are. Who even knows what's true anymore? One minute it's Zoe having Jason's baby, the next it's Emily pregnant with some wild man's child. Haha, it all sounds so real. I smiled calmly. Well, the truth is easy to figure out. Just get a doctor to check. Zoe suddenly panicked and stepped out from the crowd. I can prove it. Emily is seeing someone. A few days ago, I was up in the back hills and saw her hugging a man. He was wearing a gray tank top. Judging by his back, he looked like a young guy, tall and slim. Everyone's eyes started scanning the crowd, trying to identify who matched that description. By now, dozens of people had gathered, all waiting to see me humiliated. Eventually, all eyes landed on James Monroe. James was an orphan. His parents died of illness when he was young, and his grandmother had raised him. She passed away last year, leaving him all alone. But in my past life, James had gone to the city the second year after I did. I'd heard he did quite well, and even married a wealthy businessman's daughter. James stared at me, unsure what to say. Normally, we only greeted each other in passing. He also knew I had long been devoted to Jason. I ran over to him, smiling, and grabbed his hand. James, let's get married. James looked into my eyes for a long moment, then finally nodded. Okay, no way. Jason stormed over and shoved us apart, glaring furiously. You promised to marry me, and now, just because of a little misunderstanding, you turned to some other guy, and you're even pregnant. I slapped him across the face. Other guy? You tell me, who exactly is the other guy here? James and I are clean. We're the same age. Neither of us is married. What's wrong with us getting together? Jason ignored the pain on his face and grabbed me again, speaking tenderly. Emily, stop it. Even if you are pregnant with his child, I'll still marry you. I promise to love you for life. I won't go back on that. We can take care of the baby, get rid of it, and start fresh. Just the two of us. Okay. What a saint Mr. Jason is, someone muttered sarcastically. Even after getting cheated on and being handed a green hat, he still wants to marry her. Truly a good man. The crowd murmured, some sympathizing with Jason. But I shook his hand off and turned toward the villagers, shouting, "Where's Dr. Lee?" Dr. Lee was the village's go-to traditional healer. Cheap and reliable. Everyone called him Dr. Lee the Miracle. "I'm here," he said, emerging from the crowd. I held out my arm. "Please check me. Let's see if I'm actually pregnant." Dr. Lee took my pulse, furrowed his brow, and then began shaking his head. "She's not pregnant." I turned and shouted to the crowd. "You all heard that, right? Dr. Lee just confirmed it." The villagers started whispering among themselves. "Who the hell started such a vicious rumor?" someone said, saying she was pregnant. "How nasty can you be?" I ignored the murmuring and marched straight over to Zoe. I grabbed her arm and called out, "Dr. Lee, check her." Jason panicked and rushed over, trying to pull me back and stop Dr. Lee from taking her pulse. Dr. Lee was clever. While Jason clung to his right hand, his left hand was already checking Zoe's pulse. "Over 2 months, he said. "Over 2 months?" someone echoed in disbelief. "Dr. Lee, are you saying Zoe is pregnant?" Gasps echoed through the crowd as jaws dropped. Dr. Lee looked at Zoe with concern. "Girl, the pregnancy is not stable yet. Avoid intercourse. There are signs of possible miscarriage. I'll prescribe you some medication to help support the pregnancy. Go pick it up soon." He was completely absorbed in his medical explanation. But Zoe had already bolted, her face burning with shame. Zoe's mother shouted furiously, "Quack! Shut up. She's pregnant and still messing around with some man. Disgraceful." People around them began looking at Zoe's mom with disdain. "What kind of parenting is that?" someone muttered. Dr. Lee wasn't pleased. "Don't believe me? Take her to the county hospital and double-check. I'm confident in my diagnosis." Everyone sided with Dr. Lee. He had earned their trust. Then someone in the crowd asked the big question. "So who's Zoe's baby daddy?" I looked up at Jason and caught a flicker of hatred in his eyes as he stared at me. "That's a question for Zoe," I replied coolly. Aunt Linda sighed beside me. "Well, if it's a young man, that's one thing. But what if it's someone older or worse? That would be scandalous. Zoe really is bold getting pregnant out of wedlock like this. Hopefully, she doesn't end up getting used and abandoned." "Exactly," someone agreed. Jason couldn't take it anymore. He yelled, "Everyone go home. Gossiping behind someone's back isn't what decent people do. Go on leave." Even the village chief came out and said, "This is the late 80s. Getting pregnant before marriage will get you mocked and shamed. If you've done nothing wrong, you don't need to stand around here proving it." As he turned to leave, I called out to James Monroe, "Dress nicely tomorrow morning. We're going to the city to register." Jason froze, unwilling to give up. He grabbed my arm. "I've been more than patient with you." I looked toward James for help. "James, help me. Let go of my fiancé." James said as he grabbed Jason's wrist and squeezed. Jason winced, eyes watering from the pain. "Your grip is stronger than I expected," Jason muttered. James worked in the fields every day. Of course he was strong. Jason, on the other hand, fancied himself a scholar. He never lifted a finger for manual labor. Usually, James seemed quiet and reserved. But today, out of nowhere, he stood firmly in front of me and pointed squarely at Jason. "Emily is my fiancée. Stay away from her." He looked so commanding. Why hadn't I seen this side of him in my previous life? Jason glared at James, furious. You're just a tool Emily is using to get back at me. You really think she loves you? That she'd actually marry you? Dream on. I give it 3 days. No 2. and she'll be begging me to go register with her. I spat directly in Jason's face. You've got some nerve. Get lost. Jason wiped his face and realized it was actually spit. Disgusted, he turned and ran straight home. After he left, James smiled at me and said, "Until you find someone you truly love, I can be your fiancé." I grabbed his hand, looking at him seriously. "I'm being serious. Will you marry me?" James gently pushed my hand away, lowering his head with a soft smile. "I'm just an orphan. You know my situation." I stared at him and asked again, "Will you marry me?" He nodded. "Yes." I beamed and threw myself into his arms. "Let's register tomorrow. When my dad comes back, we'll get married." Happiness came so suddenly. As I lay in his arms, he didn't even flinch. I pulled back and ran home to tell Mom the news. She was overjoyed. Even though James is an orphan, I watched him grow up. He's honest and hardworking. I've always liked that boy. I smiled and said, "I like him too." Early in the morning, we headed into the city to register our marriage. James and I spent the whole day wandering around, buying all sorts of things we'd need for the wedding. I also helped him pick out several new outfits. That night, we had dinner at my house. We had already planned to celebrate when we got back from the city. Mom had slaughtered the old hen for soup and the rooster for a red braised dish. She also cooked 2 vegetarian sides. It turned out to be quite a feast. My mom couldn't stop smiling as she looked at her new son-in-law. "James, don't worry. Marrying our Emily won't do you any harm. Your parents passed away early, but you can think of me as your real mother. You're hardworking, and once you follow Emily's dad into the business, they'll treat you like a son. Work hard and you'll definitely make it." Standing there beside them, I couldn't help feeling a little shy hearing her words. James just kept nodding, not knowing what to say. After dinner, I personally walked him home. 3 days went by. Jason had been waiting for me to apologize when he couldn't take it anymore. He came looking for me just in time to catch me handing out wedding candies in the village. He ran over excitedly and pulled me aside. "I'm not mad anymore. I forgive you." I shook him off. "What does your being mad or not have to do with me?" Jason gave me a cheeky grin. "I know you were trying to surprise me, right? Handing out candy secretly and got caught. Embarrassed, huh?" I gave a bitter smile. "Mr. Jason, you really do have the imagination of a language teacher. You think me handing out candy has anything to do with you? My husband is James Monroe." Jason collapsed to the ground in disbelief. "No way. You love me the most. You can't live without me." At that moment, James walked over and gently took my hand. "Emily, it's so hot out. Let me hand out the candy. You go rest." I smiled. "It's okay. This is our wedding candy. I want to hand it out myself." Jason sat on the ground, shouting like a madman. "No, this can't be happening. You're only allowed to marry me. James is just some orphan. Why should he get to take you away from me?" We ignored him and moved on to the next spot to continue passing out candy. Watching us walk off hand in hand, Jason looked like he was going to lose his mind. He couldn't accept that what he thought was a sure thing had slipped away. That night, I was fast asleep when I suddenly felt a hand on me. I snapped my eyes open. In the dim moonlight, I saw his face. "Jason, you animal. Do you know this is a crime?" I shouted, kicking him off the bed. I turned on the light and grabbed a flashlight from the nightstand. "You're getting bolder, but even if you act like this, I'll never be with you." Jason refused to give up. He lunged at me again. "Once I sleep with you, who else will want you? You'll come begging me to marry you." Looking at his twisted expression, all I felt was pure disgust. How did I not see who he really was in my past life? "In your dreams," I growled, smashing the flashlight into his forehead. He touched the spot, then suddenly laughed. "We dated for 3 years, and you never let me touch you. Tonight, I'm finally going to make you mine." He lunged again. I struggled with all my strength, but I couldn't break free. He started tearing at my clothes. Just as I was losing all hope, Jason's grip suddenly loosened. I looked up and saw my mom standing there, whacking him with a thick wooden stick. "You bastard!" she screamed. "Even if my daughter never marries, she will never marry you." I scrambled to wrap myself in the blanket. Mom came over and gently patted me. "Don't be scared. I'm here. Jason finally came to his senses and stood up, furious. He turned to my mom and shouted, "You nasty old woman. You're the reason Emily turned against me. Always filling her head with lies about me. Tonight, I'll sleep with both of you." But my mom didn't waste words. She raised the stick and started beating him again. Jason tried to fight back, but he didn't stand a chance. Blow after blow landed until he collapsed on the floor, unable to move. Only then did my mom stop. Still wrapped in the blanket, I got dressed, climbed out of bed, and took the stick from Mom's hand. "You pervert. You think you can take advantage of me? Let's see if you can handle this." I started swinging the stick, hitting Jason again and again. I had no idea how many times I struck him until I heard Mom say, "Leave him breathing." That's when I finally stopped. Seeing Jason lying still on the ground gave me a fright. "Mom, is he dead?" Mom gave a calm little smile. "He's still breathing. He won't die. But if he had died, we would have just dragged him to the woods out back and fed him to the wolves." Jason groaned weakly from the floor. "Witches. He's not dead yet," I said. "Want me to hit him a few more times and take him straight to the back hills? Save ourselves trouble later." Mom and I exchanged a look and shared a quiet smile. "Even if we don't kill him," she said, "we'll scare him half to death. Let him know we're not to be messed with." "Fine, let him live for now," she added casually, as if talking about slaughtering a chicken. "Witches," Jason muttered again, completely unable to find any words to express what he was feeling. I crouched beside him and smiled. "Zoe's pregnant with your child. And you still wanted to register with me? What do you take me for, a fool?" Jason denied it. "I don't even know whose kid that is in Zoe's belly. Why are you so sure it's mine? You know what kind of person I am." I smiled coldly. "Zoe told me herself. She even bragged about it. Said, 'You only love her and you're only marrying me for my family's money.' She said, 'You're going to take her to the city. What? Raise the child as your own. And even let it inherit the Johnson family business.'" Mom, fuming, slapped him across the face. "You disgusting bastard. What a scheme." Jason cursed Zoe in his head for being such a fool, but still denied everything out loud. "Don't believe a word that crazy woman says. She's pregnant. Can't find the guy responsible, so she's blaming me. We can confront her if you want." I stood up and smiled. "Forget it. I'm already married to James Monroe anyway." I pulled out our marriage certificate and waved it in his face. "Open your eyes and take a good look. We're legally married." Jason stared at the certificate and burst out laughing. "Fake. That's got to be fake." Mom lost all patience. Emily helped me drag him outside and locked the door. "You evil witches. You're all the same," Jason screamed as Mom and I dragged him out and slammed the front door behind him. I didn't go back to my room right away. I stood behind the door listening. Just as I suspected, he hadn't come alone. Outside, I heard Zoe crying. "What happened? You didn't get to sleep with her?" Jason's voice flared with rage. "You idiot. You stupid. Who told you to tell her you're pregnant with my baby?" Zoe whimpered. "I didn't mean to." She wiped her tears and tried to help him up, but Jason shoved her aside. "Get lost. I don't want to see your face." Still crying, Zoe struggled to support him. "Come on, let's go back and tend to your wounds. They were really brutal." Jason threw a tantrum the whole way, but in the end, he still let Zoe help him home. For the next week, I didn't see Jason at all. Zoe, shamed by public gossip, didn't dare leave the house. The whole village was talking about how Zoe was pregnant with Jason's child, and that I, furious, had married James out of spite. Everyone was saying James had hit the jackpot. Once an orphan, now he had everything by marrying me. I told James everything that had happened the night before. He pulled me into his arms and said, "From now on, I'll stand guard at your door." I smiled. "I keep a stick by my bed. If Jason dares come back, I'll beat him to death." And just like that, James really did spend every night guarding my front door. Later, I found out more about what happened between Jason and Zoe, but I didn't care anymore. I was too busy preparing for our wedding. A month later, my dad returned home. When he saw James, now clean-cut and looking like a true gentleman, he agreed to the marriage without hesitation. Holding my hand, he said, "As long as the man is good, that's all that matters. With me here, you two just need to live well. I'll take care of making money." I nestled into his arms, overwhelmed with happiness. "Dad, you're the best." Just like he always was in my past life. As long as I said the word, my dad would give me anything I wanted without question. He gently pushed me away and chuckled. "Silly girl, you're my only daughter. Who else would I spoil if not you? Your mom was hurt when she gave birth to you and couldn't have any more kids." Standing nearby, Mom snapped, clearly annoyed. "Then go marry someone younger and have more kids with her." Seeing that Mom was getting angry, Dad immediately rushed over like a puppy, trying to coax and soothe her. We set the wedding date for the 6th day of August. Mom had personally consulted someone from Renhe for our birth charts and insisted it was an auspicious day. Despite everything, Jason still showed up at our house, trying one last time to marry me. He knelt in front of my dad and swore, "Uncle, I truly love Emily. If I ever have a change of heart." Before he could finish, Dad kicked him hard, sending him flying across the yard. "You piece of trash," he roared. "I haven't even come looking for you yet, and now you've got the nerve to show up at my house." Dad stormed after him and stomped on his hand. "You bastard. If it weren't for the sake of the neighbors, I'd kill you right now. If you ever bother Emily again, I will kill you." With that, he kicked Jason one more time, sending him sprawling again. My dad was a rough man. Always had been. Back in the village, he used to be the loudest, toughest guy around. With 2 brutal kicks, Jason spat blood and lay stunned for a long while before he could even get up. When he finally did, he turned his hateful eyes toward us and growled, "You just wait." None of us took him seriously. The wedding day came quickly. My dad invited a lot of friends and relatives. Everyone knew he had gotten rich in the South. People scrambled to come. Dad was generous. He didn't accept any wedding money, let everyone eat and drink as much as they wanted, and even gave generous gift bags in return. Besides wedding candy, the bags included a bar of soap and a towel. Guests were happy with the food and even more delighted when they opened their gift bags. Jason stood far off in the distance, watching everything unfold, grinding his teeth with hatred. All of this feast, this attention, this joy should have been his. But instead, James Monroe had snatched it all away. "That worthless girl," Jason muttered. "Who told her to say that wild man was James? Now look, she actually married him. And now how am I supposed to get to the city?" Furious, he turned and took it all out on Zoe, punching and kicking her. Zoe clung to his leg, crying, "Why do we have to go to the city? Emily's just a rich girl from the countryside. You're a teacher. You've got a good reputation." Jason's rage flared even more. "What do you know? Reputation means nothing without money. I want money. Teaching? That's all I ever do. Just teach, teach, teach. I'll be stuck in this backwater forever. I hate teaching. Stupid woman. You've ruined everything," he shouted, then stormed off to drink himself into another stupor. That night, James stared at me in our new room, his eyes fixed and full of affection. "You're so beautiful." I blushed and lowered my head. "Didn't expect you to be so smooth. Do you regret marrying me?" He kept his gaze on me and smiled, the corners of his mouth turning up gently. "Emily, do you know I've loved you for a long time? But I'm just an orphan. I didn't think I could ever give you the life you deserve, so I never dared pursue you." I grabbed his hand. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? Maybe then I wouldn't have been fooled by Jason for so long." James gently covered my mouth with his hand. "Let's not talk about him. It's bad luck." I nodded. Bad luck. 3 days later, our whole family headed to the south. We didn't return until the Lunar New Year. That was when I heard the news. Jason had been forced to marry Zoe. But the baby didn't make it. Jason had come home drunk one night and kicked her in the stomach. By the time they reached the hospital, it was too late. While Dad, Mom, and James were all busy preparing for the holiday, I sat alone in the courtyard, soaking up the sun. That's when Zoe walked in, bundled in a scarf. For a moment, I thought she might have come to cause trouble. I instinctively covered my stomach and stepped back in fear. She could hurt me fine, but not the baby growing inside me. I was pregnant, 3 months along. "What do you want, Zoe?" I asked, my voice tense. Zoe pulled off her scarf, revealing a face barely recognizable. It was covered with cuts from blades, welts from whips, and deep scratches from fingernails. He did this, she said with a bitter smile. He's not even human. He's a monster. I shook my head. You're married now. You should just try to live your life. Suddenly, Zoe dropped to her knees and grabbed my hands, pleading. Please take me to the city with you. I heard I can find work there. Let me go with you. I'll be a nanny in your house. Anything. I tried to pull my hands away, but she wouldn't let go. Please, Emily, she begged. If I stay with Jason, he'll beat me to death. What does that have to do with me? I thought. I remembered how in my past life, when I was suffocating and struggling for breath, Jason had stood there watching with a mocking smile. Let go of me. I shouted. Help. Somebody help. James heard me and came running. He kicked Zoe away and immediately pulled me into his arms. Don't be scared, Emily.